bringing you the latest news from Lubbock High Athletics. This is the Westerner Fan Zone podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back on a Monday night to the high school fan zone on 100.7 The Score. One more reminder, this is the last Monday night of the school year. We'll be back in late August, early September when we resume. We'll take a little bit of a hiatus, give the coaches and athletes and hosts a little bit of a break here when summer gets here. They don't take a break, especially volleyball players. Volleyball never stops. That's something I've had to learn, that you guys, you're as close to year-round athletes as anybody else, because Candy Stevens was on earlier. She said season ends, you go into club season, you go into spring ball, it's amazing how busy you guys keep. I am here we're going to talk volleyball again, in case you didn't catch that. We're going to talk Lady Westerner volleyball. Matt Leesman. Remind me how many years you've been there? You surprised me when you told me.
I just finished up year 16 at Lubbock High School.
You're like an institution at Lubbock High.
I suppose you could say that. There we go.
He's been there a long time. And we'll let him introduce the two players he brought with him who are sitting between us if you're watching on TV.
So we got two seniors with us today. We got our outside, 2-year letterman?
Yeah, going on 3.
Taylor Waden, and then first-year letterman for us last year. She transferred over from another school in town, Braylee Muniz.
You're welcome to say who.
Monterey.
There we go. Somebody knows anyway. So, and we've talked before, Matt. So my full disclosure, my daughter is a Lubbock High Westerner too. She will be a senior next year, and she's actually a Rough Rider. And I told the story earlier. I got in a little bit of trouble with her in Wanrod. If you're listening, I'm sorry, because she was telling me she's going to be a Rough Rider again. And you guys know at football games, the Rough Riders ring the bell when Lubbock High scores. And I said, well, are you going to find something else to do, because you're not going to be that busy if formal is true. She gave me kind of she gave me that dad look that you guys are good at giving. But that ties into this. We've talked, Matt, progress at Lubbock High is measured a little bit differently, because the kids that go to Lubbock High, athletes that go to Lubbock High, they're not strictly there to be athletes. They're strictly there to they're gonna be running the world here when you and I are sitting in rocking chairs before too long, because of what you guys put them through. Coach is a pretty good teacher. He may not admit to that part of it, but I've heard stories about how good a teacher he is. So, but you guys have to do a lot academically. You have to, before you have stuff on the court. And I know this from being asked to help with homework and just politely declining. But you guys made a lot of progress last year, Matt. Yes,
agreed. Last 2 years we've seen, I think, just a nice change from what kind of the norm's been. Coming out of the pandemic was just pretty difficult, I think, at our school, just because, again, kind of was cerebral kids, I don't know, introverted, kind of isolate and getting out of the house, trying to refamiliarize themselves. I think with cooperative team settings was just challenging, but 2 years ago we had a good season. We're in the conversation for playoffs. This past year, changing districts, we just got big, and the North's a lot like just a different animal up there. Yes. And we kind of doubled up on our district wins, and we hadn't had more than 2 in quite a while. So it's been about 10 years since we got to about 4 or 5 district wins. So we're looking to kind of catapult and move up a little bit more coming into next season.
Again, progress is measured differently, but 4-12 is what you guys finished up. And I don't remember. I've had my website for 6 years. I don't remember you getting to 4 before then.
No. Not in the not with. It's been about 10 years. So
you two, you were part of that. Grab the microphone there. Whatever rules Brendan gave you there, I think he told you to use your outside voice. So
yes, sir.
What clicked last year? Why did you guys make that progress? And then we'll come back and see what you have to do to take more steps.
So this being my second year on varsity, the girls, we had amazing leadership last year. The seniors last year they took us above and beyond, and they really showed us who we were as a team. But we also were very connected all around from freshman to senior. We had a freshman on varsity this year, Nayeli, who I absolutely adore. And we all sort of realized we weren't playing for ourselves at that moment, because we saw Nayeli and we were like, this is a freshman, this is her future. So we started really playing for each other more, I think, than the year before. And I think that really just created a different dynamic for our team, and just, the outcome was what it was. So.
All right, she gave a really good answer, so you have to wait until we come back after the break. But you hit on something. Coach and I talked before. We talked before the season. We talked a couple times during, and he really liked you guys. I don't know if he told you that.
Really? Randy, you don't.
I feel like I'm letting the cat out of the bag, but he talked several times about how this team had a chance to kind of become a bridge to what you guys could do. So we'll talk more about that when we come back in the Westerner Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score.
Diving headfirst into Lubbock High athletics. You're listening to the Westerner Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score and the 100.7 The Score mobile app.
Welcome back to the Westerner Fan Zone on a Monday night. Just one more reminder, last Monday night of this school year, we'll be back in late August or early September, which is one reason I wanted to get a couple of volleyball coaches on, because they don't get a chance to come on as much in the fall because they're usually sort of busy on Monday and Tuesday nights. Lubbock High did some good things on Monday and Tuesday nights last year, so now's your chance to talk. Okay. We talked about what kind of clicked for you guys last year. How do you carry that? Like I said, there's really no off season. You're getting ready. Let's see. Next week, do you take next week off? Ish.
Sorta.
Try to.
And then, but the week after that is the Lubbock Summer League, which still, it's weird for me to call it a league because it's 4 days and a tournament, so it's really Lubbock Summer Week.
Yeah.
So you jump in, and that's where you kind of set the tone for what you want to do in the fall. What do you have to do these next few weeks to kind of lay a foundation?
I say going for the same purpose. This year we had established what we were chasing after, not necessarily in wins, but rather what was our team purpose, what were we striving for as a team, and how to grow more of a family bond rather than this is just my teammate, but this is my sister and this is my person that I'm going to help on the court. So I think if we just remain trying to chase that and trying to find purpose outside of the court, but in the team format and family, I think we can make more progress than we did last year.
Matt, you've talked a lot about how leaders have kind of emerged the last couple of years. You obviously brought these two girls for a reason. The baton's been passed to them. What do these two have to do as leaders? Not necessarily what they do stat-wise and all that, but just what you need them to do to kind of set a tone for the girls.
We're, we talk a lot about servant leadership, and I think these two epitomize a lot of that mantra, and trying to do right, work hard, and I think that usually bleeds over to lots of good things, especially when you model the behavior you're trying to instill in the other ones. I think it's a lot of that, plus just giving everything and being at everything, and I think there's if there's kind of a common thread, I think, between a lot of the kids that are coming up right now, is there's a lot that fit this mold. And I think that's gravitating towards a pretty interesting year to come, because they're pretty solid in this kind of thing.
I'll do my best one-rod imitation here. For what Matt's saying, go to a Lubbock High pep rally in the fall, or if you're really bored, that didn't sound right. If you have some time on your hands, go to a Lubbock High awards assembly and listen to what these kids accomplish. It doesn't need to show up in athletics because what they're doing. That said, you guys made progress athletically as the year went by. Baseball and softball team was sort of in the playoffs. They had to play Monterey for a spot, and weird setup. So Brian Kronk's coming on to see if he can explain it better. Baseball team was right there, and then to me, Reese Pena, and I think it was Douglas Young who said this at the awards, simply nobody's been more familiar with or has brought more attention to Lubbock High than Reese Pena the last few years. When you see what Reese has done for you girls, does that kind of motivate you that, hey, because Reese weighs like 70 pounds. She's a tiny little thing, and she's out there winning state championships. Does she kind of motivate you guys that maybe the success is achievable?
I mean, I think Lubbock High, when you think of it, first of all, you think academics, but in the athletic department, our track team, our tennis team, and our swim team all just bring in so much attention to us. So knowing that we have those three outlets sort of instills a pride of like, I want to be a part of that. And I know our volleyball team can be, and I know we have the potential. I just think it all depends on what like the upcoming girls are willing to put in the work for.
Don't get me in trouble with the wrestling team because they've had some pretty good
wrestling too.
The other Pena,
Maddie Pena.
You guys had two pretty good Penas. Coming up at the end here, but real quick, same thing for you. What she talked about? There's been success. How does that motivate you that you guys can kind of match that?
I would say like having the motivation to like go get the same thing, wanting, pushing the grind just as hard as they are, just to see like, we can do it too. Like sorry. Like we're capable of doing hard things too. And he says that a lot in practice. And I think that's what like motivates us to like want to be better as well.
You guys know I've actually seen Coach Leesman smile after a match a couple times.
Rare sight.
I bet there's going to be a few smiles this upcoming fall, though. We'll be back after the break. We'll jump into the Plainsman Fan Zone. This is Randy Rosetta. This is 100.7 The Score.